Hey everybody, it's Rebecca Johnson of Supergirl Radio. I hope everybody can hear me. I'm going to change my settings really quickly. I just realized they were not. That should be better. They were not set. So hopefully my mic is coming in a little bit better. We're going to be running behind a little bit this evening. But if there is anything that you want to bring up for us to talk about, please let us know in the chat. If you have any questions, any snap judgments, any comments about anything. We're going to be talking about the Supergirl trailer that got released today for the return of season 6. We're going to talk about the Smallville Blu-ray that's being released because that is applicable to Supergirl fans because she was in season 7 of the show. Season 7 and a little bit of season 8 and a little season 10, I think, in there. So she, Laura Vanderwert's Supergirl was sprinkled in a little bit. So we'll be talking about that as well. There's also a Supergirl season 6 synopsis that we missed somehow. So we'll also be looking at that. So we've got some news to catch up on, lots to talk about. And I do see a question in the chat from Silhouetted Animator, cool name. Is this comic canon to the show? So this is a question about the Dreamer comic in DC Pride #1, which we're going to be, it's going to be our main discussion for this Supergirl Radio episode. I don't think it's technically canon to the show. I haven't heard that there's anything official on whether or not it's canon to the show. But it doesn't necessarily have to be. It could still just be a one-off comic. There's nothing that's necessarily tied to anything they're doing in season 6 or anything that they have done. It's actually not related to much of anything on the show except for Dreamer and Brainy dating, as you will see in my background for this live stream. So I don't think it's comic canon, but if anybody knows, please let us know. Rachel says it's ambiguously canon. So yeah. So I think we're supposed to assume maybe that it takes place sometime in the universe of the Supergirl TV series. So that is probably a good way to look at it. So the Smallville Blu-ray, we'll talk about that in the news section. I'm a little mixed on it. I'm mixed on Smallville as a show, but I think it will be a better experience on Blu-ray. It's been my experience that Blu-rays are higher quality. If you think your DVD is good, the Blu-ray is going to be so much better. So if you do like Smallville, the Blu-ray will be the higher quality item there. Okay, so I do see Morgan. So I will get the live stream going, and we'll get to talking about some of these things in maybe a minute and a half-ish. So just hang tight, and we'll get started.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Noyce, and you're listening to Supergirl Radio.
I think the CW are just trying to win the time slot war with Supergirl Radio.
Supergirl Radio is going live every night of the week. How do you like it? Is becoming a human burrito a plus or a minus? I don't know. It does seem snug.
I mean, they say you are what you eat.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So I do a podcast called Supergirl Radio, and one of our segments is Lena Luthor, Boardroom or Ballroom, because
She looks like a boss in this coat.
Is Nasty Luthor like a different Luthor? It's not just Lena being mean?
No.
Helen Slater here. It's so fun to know that you're hosting a podcast called Supergirl Radio.
Welcome to Supergirl Radio, your source for all things related to the CW Supergirl TV series and the character of Kara Zor-El. My name is Rebecca Johnson.
I'm Morgan Glennon.
And for this episode of the podcast, we are live and wired, and we're going to discuss and review Date Night, which is a story from DC Pride #1 that features the first appearance of Dreamer in the comics. So we actually get Nia Nal's first appearance, so that's why we are talking about that today. We're going to be having that discussion, but before we get to that, we need to get to
the news.
So we do have some news for this episode of Supergirl Radio, and the first one is a pretty big one. The CW has released a trailer titled Meant to Be a Return Trailer, promoting the return of Supergirl Season 6 on August 24th. Morgan, did you get a chance to watch that today?
I did, and definitely not while the opening credits of this were airing. Don't think that. That's not what happened. But I did watch it, and I thought there was some interesting stuff in there. Yeah, you and I were discussing earlier, like, is she fighting a garbage monster?
Yeah,
and,
so...
And then I sent you an Oscar the Grouch gif, and now deep in my heart, I want her to like cheer up Oscar the Grouch as like some sort of storyline.
That would be the perfect Supergirl episode if she got to hang out with Oscar the Grouch. Her whole mission for that episode would just be to make him happy. Maybe make him smile a little bit. Maybe
Oscar, why are you so grumpy?
Yeah, so I guess we could get to talking about that. I do have some screenshots that we can talk about. We're not going to play the trailer on here because, copyright things. But so we do have some screenshots we can talk about. So speaking of the trash monster, I guess is what we're going to talk. We're going to label it as.
How dare you talk about my trash monster that way?
I mean, maybe he likes being a trash monster.
Maybe he's like just coming in with like some takeout in his hand. You can't see it. He's like, "Hey, you guys, game night," and everybody just freaks out. Everybody just assumes the worst. You see a trash monster and you think, "Run, hide," but maybe he just wants to hang out.
Yeah, maybe he's a
maybe
nice
we're being too judgmental of the giant trash monster.
I think so. I was very curious about this because I was not expecting a trash monster, and
no one ever does. That's the thing about trash monsters.
So I was doing internet searches for DC Comics trash monster, and so I did come up with something. I don't think there is technically a trash monster, but there is a character in DC Comics, and this will probably not be relevant at all, but I just thought it was funny.
I hope it is.
But there is a character in DC Comics called Garbage Man, who is, so this is a description of Garbage Man that I found on the interwebs. I think I put the link to it in the video description below, so if you want to check that out, you can. So here's the description of Garbage Man. One of the newest misunderstood monsters in the DCEU. I don't know I forget when this was written, but it says a misunderstood monster in the DCU who goes by the name Garbage Man, originally a Gotham City lawyer for the Titan Pharmaceutical Company. His name is Richard Moores, and he was on assignment investigating discrepancies for his boss. And I guess this is how he becomes Garbage Man. So this is Garbage Man's origin.
Falls into some mutant garbage or something. And
so Richard Morse was attacked and experimented on by one of the scientists. The scientist, thinking his experiment's a failure, destroys the lab and disposes of Morse's body.
In the garbage?
Instead of dying, Morse was transformed into something inhuman, a swamp thing-like being able to form his body out of trash and mud. To this day, Morse goes by the name Garbage Man, helping those in society's outskirts. So he's a hero.
What if we're really judging the garbage monster? And what if his dream is to be a garbage man, like a guy who goes out and puts the garbage away? And like he's going down to City Hall, he's got his application in his hand. Maybe that's what's happening. He's like, I heard you have an open position. And then but everybody screams and runs away.
I mean, I think those people are heroes. So I think that would be very applicable. I don't think this trash monster is Garbage Man from DC Comics, but that would be awesome. So
it would be fun.
I do wonder if this is a creation from Nixley. She does have magical power, so I wonder if she creates a trash monster.
It feels like something that she could create, or that she would create. I have so many questions about him. I don't know why I've just really glommed onto him. Like I feel like a deep kinship with the garbage monster. Maybe because I felt like garbage last week, and I was like, I was with you, man. I know what it's like. Don't let them dim your shine, Garbage Man.
Well, we will have to figure out what's going on with Trash Man, because some things are going down. The first thing that we get from the trailer is actually of Kara, which shocked me. I was
starting a Supergirl trailer with Supergirl?
I was blown away. But yeah, Kara's talking about her fears and being stuck in the Phantom Zone and how cold it was and how breath was like ice. So she has a really nice moment there with Alex in the trailer, talking about, getting through it together. So I was pleasantly surprised that Kara was featured heavily in the trailer. That made me happy. We did get some more. I think this is all these daylight scenes with some chaos around it. I think this is all related to Trash Monster.
Now, like, I don't want to get too upset, but this looks like maybe what happens after you're finished fighting Garbage Man. It looks like maybe Garbage Man lost there, and that's just the wreckage of Garbage Man, which is it's bad for me personally because again I'm all in on Garbage Man, but also very bad for the environment. It looks like. I mean, apparently you wanna fight Garbage Man in maybe a dumpster-esque environment.
Really contain him. There's some debris.
That goose is escaping as fast as his little wings will carry him.
I was trying to determine if that was some sort of goose. I don't know exactly what bird that is, but I'm somewhat of an expert on Canada geese, and they look a little different from that. So I don't know if there are any birders who listen to or watch Supergirl Radio, but please let me know if you've identified what kind of bird this is. It sort of looks like a goose. But the coloring is a little different, in my opinion. But I hope the goose gets away from Garbage Man. We'll see. We'll see if the goose survives.
Rachel wants to know if this is going to be when we finally learn what happened to the pelicans.
I actually had that thought when I saw the goose. I was like, well, are the pelicans around? No, I definitely did have that thought. I hope we'll get the answer to that. Maybe the pelicans and the geese are hanging out together and they both have issues with Garbage Man. So we'll see. Apparently Garbage Man, I guess, is doing something with this contraction. I don't know. This looks like it's off in the space.
Is Garbage Man going to space?
I don't know.
Once again, we have underestimated maybe Garbage Man was like, I'm working on a science experiment over here. Don't touch it. And then everybody just messes it up.
Yeah. So there's several moments in the trailer where it looks like Garbage Man may have been, I don't know if he's connected to this at all, but it sort of looked like that to me. It did look like maybe he was also throwing.
Garbage man? Is that a little bit of garbage man we're seeing in the shot, or is that just a garbage wall? Is that?
That's a good question. So it does
Has
look
garbage man been decorating this whole pier? Maybe that's what's happening. He's like, this is just how I like it.
The Super Friends have come into his home and messed with his stuff,
and they're redecorating. They're ruining his rocket launch. Like.
I think we're on Garbage Man's side, honestly.
I think I'm turning to be pro Garbage Man.
But it looks like he throws Martian Manhunter and a Supergirl into some garbage, maybe. I think there's a little bit of a fire thing that happens on that as well. Garbage Man does look like he's destroying some stuff in this facility. So he Garbage Man can shoot fire.
I mean, Garbage Man being able to shoot fire is a twist. I didn't see it coming. I didn't see it coming. But before we judge Garbage Man, can I ask, what did the dock workers perhaps do to him? Do we know? Maybe they were like, I don't like your garbage. Maybe it's justified.
I think Garbage Man probably has his reasons.
I think we're prejudging Garbage Man. I think we should just let this play out.
Well, whatever happens, it's bothering Supergirl because Supergirl in her kryptonite suit. I'm guessing that Melissa was not available for the scene. That's usually what happens with the crypto suit. But it does look like that Supergirl is bothered by it, which is kind of sad. It seems like she's maybe having some PTSD or something. I'm not real sure.
Do we think that there's some kryptonite in the garbage?
Oh, I did not think about that. She's either having flashbacks to something or maybe she's bothered by kryptonite. That could be the case. It definitely looks like Alex might be here or Sentinel at this point. So we'll see what happens. And I actually do like this shot from the trailer of the Sentinel suit because I know we've talked at great length about this suit and some of the things that we maybe have thoughts on. But the hood actually looks pretty cool in this shot. I like the inner lining of the hood. I hadn't noticed that before.
The hood is nice in this shot. It seems functional and fashionable. I'm still not a fan of the eyeshadow, but but I do like the hood. I think that she did it. I don't know if that's what the hood always looked like or if this has been a hood upgrade. but good for you, Alex. I like it. I like the fashion that you're bringing.
Yeah, so cosplayers, if you're into cosplaying Sentinel, this will give you a really good look of what that costume looks like. I maybe it's because it covers up that blue streak in the hair that I don't like.
It's got. I think a lot of it is that. Yeah, it's like, what is it about Alex's costume that's just working for me so well? Is it that I can't see her hair?
I think that's what it is for me because that's the one thing that I'm like, I can maybe go with the eyeshadow, but the blue hair.
I like to imagine like that when Alex is getting ready, she like opens up she goes into her bathroom, opens up, and there's just all these like little blue hair streaks, like the like clip-in ones. And she's like, all right, villains of the world, watch out as she clips it in. Sentinel's coming for you. Hold on, I gotta braid it.
Well, if she's wearing the hood, it doesn't matter. She can cover
That's true. You can't see her great braid.
Yeah, so it does just to cover up some of this scene. So it does look like a bunch of fire. Like Garbage Man is really causing some chaos here. So I don't know if Garbage Man is connected to the possible. What does Brainy say? It's a cryonuclear bomb. I don't know.
I heard him say that, and I thought, should I know? Is that made up? I don't know what that is. Am I dumb or is this fake?
I know about nuclear bombs. I don't know if maybe there are cryonuclear bombs. I've never heard of it.
What role does the cryo play in it, do you think? This is a question I asked myself, again, not 30 seconds before we started this podcast, but I did ask myself that. I was like, are they freezing something? Are they freezing Garbage Man?
Do you freeze something before you blow it up?
It seems wasteful.
Or are you like blowing it up and then freezing things down because it'll be too hot.
they're like hot and cold, baby.
I don't know what the point of that is. But if anybody has any thoughts on the cryonuclear bomb, but yeah, so it does look like that maybe some of these scenes from the trailer are connected.
Donna says cryo means cold, so is it an ice bomb? So is it like a bomb that ices things over, shoots ice? I have questions.
But if it's a nuclear, I don't really know.
I'm glad I wasn't the only one who was thrown off by that. I was like, wait a minute, I don't think that's a thing.
Well, surely they'll explain it in the episode.
Surely. I'm shaking my head. No, surely they will explain it.
But you know who does have thoughts about the environment and things of that nature? Zor-El made an appearance. Jason Bear.
Hey, how are you? Oh, it's been a long hiatus, Jason Bear. How you doing? Still doing good? Still looking good.
Still looking good, Jason Bear. He's also, it looks like maybe got some new threads.
Yeah, he's got the S shield on his
Does
his
that look
chest.
like a sweater to you?
It looks like, I don't know if it's like a suit or if it's a cozy turtleneck, and I think I'm fine with either version.
Yeah, well, I don't know if he's got some new S shield threads, but looks good. So he seems very concerned about the oceans.
Yeah.
So which, I mean, we should all be concerned about the oceans.
He probably watched like a couple of Netflix documentaries while he's like acclimating to Earth, and he was like, Car, did you know about this? There's all kinds of problems here. And she's like, yes, I do know about could you stop watching so many environmental documentaries? I can't watch Blackfish one more time, Dad. And he's like, but it's a it's a problem. I did like that he points out in the trailer, he was like, this is what happened to Krypton. And I was like, yeah, I guess. I mean, hey, okay, that makes sense to me. Honestly, that's rock solid logic. I can't really argue with that. And if we go back to season 1, it was kind of Astra's whole point too.
Yeah, there was some of that with Astra. I don't know if I always equate Krypton with oceans.
I mean, not specifically oceans.
But I mean, you don't really see a lot of depictions of Krypton with big ocean water and waves and things. But maybe that's because it used to be like that, and then when we get to Krypton, it's about to fall apart and implode on itself.
Zor-El was like, we had our own SeaWorld, and it was also messed up. And but then by the time you were born, there were no seas. What if Zor-El just gets like really into like sea animals and like surfing? Like he goes through like a whole like beach bum phase where he's got like all those like life is good shirts. That's just like life's a beach, and it's like a little guy with sunglasses. And she's like, that is so embarrassing. That's all you wear. And he's like, life's a beach, Kara.
That I would be okay with. What I'm kind of uneasy about with that mention is that because Supergirl likes to address the issues of the day. That's a known thing. They've been doing this for a while, and so this to me was like, oh, the climate change is happening. This is what we're talking about. We're bringing some climate change things in here.
We're getting topical.
I guess that's what's happening with Zor-El. So I guess he's going to be the one to address that. He was not the only one that came back from the Phantom Zone. We did get to see some Nixley in here. So she's causing some trouble. She interacts with Martian Manhunter, apparently. And she also, I love this outfit that she's got on. I can't remember if she had the collar in the Phantom Zone.
Ooh, the collar's good though.
But I love the collar. I love a good villain with a high collar. It's one of my favorite things. So
it's like semi popped. It's high. It gives her some height. It gives her some like dramatic flair. I love it.
Yeah, she's like rocking Evil Queen Maleficent vibes, and I'm into it. So I really enjoyed seeing that Nixley look from her in the trailer. Some other people with some different costume possibilities or super suit possibilities. Alex is shown talking to Kelly about what you're going to be and how you got to take some chances in life. And then it goes over to the Guardian helmets. So I guess we're going to get some Guardian here pretty soon. So that will be cool because we have seen her new suit. We did get an official reveal of that. So I guess it'll be interesting to see how she becomes Guardian. And
do you think that she has a camera that might get run over?
I think for consistency's sake, a camera needs to be destroyed.
She's like, I keep thinking that I want to be able to defend myself. And then some guy ran over my camera and I was like, that's it. We're taking back the streets.
It's like how all Kryptonians have the backstory of like, they had to escape Krypton and they came to Earth. Like all Guardians should have the camera destroying backstory.
Some camera of theirs was destroyed. And that's when they were like, it's time to defend the city. But I didn't even notice that helmet though. That's so funny. I think it might have went by so quick when I was watching it that I saw them talking, but I didn't notice the shot of the helmet.
Yeah, so I think it's cool that they are giving her a little bit of color. It looks gold. And of course, on our Guardian character spotlight, we talked about the different variations of Guardian. There are many, actually, and one of them is the Golden Guardian. So so this may be who she is. I'm a little disappointed it's not a Hornblower. That would have been my preference.
Right there. It was right there for the taking.
I mean, she could have had the horn. She could have used it to, portal herself into different dimensions. I mean, that would have been great.
She could have kept the shield, but imagine the power of a shield and a horn. Then she could be everywhere she needed to be to give people therapy. You would just hear it like you would be like having an existential crisis, and you hear like, and then suddenly Kelly's there, and she's like, "Tell me how you really feel about this."
I think that really would have worked for her.
Lena would have heard that horn so often.
She might have even had a little horn herself just to call Kelly.
Yeah, she'd be like, "Help! I'm feeling big feelings."
I guess speaking of Lena, it looks like she and Kara have a reunion in this next episode, which seems like
a lot of lipstick.
It is a lot of. It's very red. But it seems like this, I think, was one of those reunions that maybe were cut in the 7th episode, because I think we knew that it got cut short when Kara came back. So this may be just a continuation of that. So
yeah, it looks like the same set when they pulled her back.
Yeah, and
something similar.
Kara still got the super suit on, so there is that. And let's see, what have we missed while we're talking? And I guess since Nia was in that shot with Kara and Lena, I guess we could talk about some Nia stuff. I think this is Nia's apartment, this sort of Nixley magic that's happening here. I think. Ooh. I don't think this is Kara's apartment.
No, it doesn't look like it.
The star there makes me think it's maybe Dreamer's place, but I guess unconfirmed at this point. There was also some more Nia stuff. Her mom is somehow back.
What?
So I guess she does not have a run-in with some spiders anymore.
No, Rebecca. No, they didn't. No, wait. Okay, wait. Okay. In the last... okay, wait. I can't let this go. In the last episode... In like the prom again, part 2, Electric Boogaloo. She was like, I'm back in time to when my mom was not killed by a spider, and I should call her. And then she like really battles within herself about whether or not to call her mom.
Yeah,
her mom can't be alive post-crisis, right? It can't be.
Well, from everything they were talking about, it sounded like her mom was still gone. Because Nia, the only way Nia could get in touch with her mom is if she went back in time with them to get Kara's DNA and call then.
Yeah, so it's got to be a dream, right? Like I can't have this happen to me.
This is really messing with the post-crisis, post-Amade world.
I thought I understood.
We we almost had it, and now they're throwing a real throwing us for a loop. But I don't know if dreamers dreaming. I don't know. It usually with those dreams they have like a different coloring on those dreams.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's got a little bit of like, in Saved by the Bell when they were going into a dream sequence, it would be like, and then the edges would go all soft and fuzzy. Like there's usually some different kind of lighting or different camera angles. And this looks like a pretty standard 2-shot, which is concerning me a little bit. But
I mean, it has
the lighting is soft.
It's soft. It has a warm colorization. So maybe it's a dream. We'll see how that goes. But it is going to mess us up if she is alive in real time. I don't know how you could justify that.
It does make me excited that like it does feel like this season has kind of remembered that Nia has like this whole family that she hasn't talked to or thought about for a while. And it's okay. And like they're bringing that back, which makes me think that we might get her going back to her like hometown and maybe having some conversations with her sister, maybe patching things up with her sister. Because I feel like they kind of left that storyline dangling. She was just like, okay, well, we're not getting along right now. But then they never returned to it.
I mean, this is the last season.
This could be the time.
This is your chance. If you're gonna do it, you got to do it now. Silhouetted Animator says there's a place called The Dreaming in the comics, which is where Dreamer, I think, gets the power she gets to, pew pew people is her dream energy blasts are from, that's how she's controlling the dreaming. So maybe it's something that she can go into, and that's how she connects with her mom, because her mom probably could have, I don't know, connected to the dreaming. I don't know how any of that works. But maybe it's kind of like the Speed Force. I don't know. I don't know how
the Dream Force.
So that would, I mean, it would sort of make sense. I don't know how to explain it exactly, but I could maybe buy that if that's how it goes. So So okay. So maybe she connects to her mom through the dreaming. I could be into that. We also get connected or introduced to this new guy who has like some sort of blast powers. I don't know who this is.
Yeah, it's like, who's this guy?
Do you think this might? I know we talked about Garbage Man earlier.
Oh my god.
Do you think this is Garbage Man, like pre-Garbage Man,
like before he becomes Garbage Man?
Yes.
I don't know. He was so handsome before he became Garbage Man.
I don't know. That's my speculation at the moment. This may be.
I feel like we're too attached to the Garbage Man theory, and it's literally just going to be a pile of garbage.
Well, that's what I'm hoping for. Let's see. There's some other things. It looks like maybe, does Kara go back to the Phantom Zone office? Is this where this is?
Oh. Maybe this is storage where they kept all their evil Phantom Zone doodads.
The only reason I ask is because she's breaking through. Well, she's breaking through glass. I thought it was a mirror. I didn't know if it was like connected to the Phantom Zone through the mirror.
It looks like there's like a screen with like what maybe is like a pie chart. So
maybe it's the tower.
Could be the tower. Yeah.
Why is she breaking the glass in the tower?
They're running some analytics on that.
John is not going to be happy if she's busting up glass in the tower.
Maybe this is like that time where she had like a lot of like PTSD, and she flew through when she had the anxiety. She flew through the Catco roof. You know, that thing that was never talked about again. She just busted up a building, and everybody was just chill with it.
Yeah, so maybe it's like that. Maybe she couldn't find the door or a window or a balcony, and so that's what happened. And I guess the final shot is a big explosion that happens, and that's definitely Kyler Lee's stunt double when you slow it down. But yeah, so some big things are happening in the episode. That's, I guess this is all in reference to the episode that's going to come back on August 24th.
There's a lot happening in that one.
There's a lot happening in this, and I just want to mention that in the trailer, somebody says, "Oh, where is the let me get my notes." Somebody says and I couldn't figure out whose voice it was, but somebody says they've released a force of hell on Earth. And
Garbage Man?
I think it's referencing excuse me, I think it's referencing Nixley. But because I've been currently trying to read all of Supergirl and the New 52, because I'd previously only read the first volume, so I'm reading through all of it, and I'm in volume 3 right now, which is Sanctuary, and there's a character in those comics named Hell. So I wish, as a comic book fan, because Hell appears in it's Hell as in H''EL. He appears in Supergirl comics, so it would make sense to bring him in. He's another Kryptonian. I haven't finished the volume, so I don't know how things go down with him. But he's a kind of a shady character in Supergirl that kind of has a crush on him. And I'm like, Kara, you get away from that guy. This is no good. But so as a comic book fan, I would love it to be the introduction of this Hell character, but I don't think that's what's happening. But that's, I mean, if you're going to drop Hell on Earth, that would be a clever way to do that, but I'm not counting on that.
I assumed it was about Nixley, but then I thought to myself, and no shade to Nixley, love her. Is Nixley that bad? Like, Hell on Earth seems a little bit dramatic for Nixley.
Well, she's creating garbage men.
I mean, who among us?
And like is setting off some sort of
my
contraption
whole
that goes
condo
into
is creating a garbage man right now. Don't you worry.
Yeah. So I mean, Nixley does have magical powers where she could do anything. So I don't know. Maybe she's really causing a bunch of chaos. I don't know. But it does seem a little over dramatic. It's. I mean,
I was like, have we earned this with Nixley yet?
I don't know just yet if we've earned it, but maybe by the end of the episode, maybe we're gonna get there. But yeah, so that is kind of the big thing about the episode were those shots, or not the episode, but the trailer. So we'll see. We'll have to see if any of our speculations are correct. None of them probably will be.
I don't think so. I don't think Garbage Man is going to be some misunderstood genius. I feel like I'm going to be disappointed on that tab.
Man, I really want that to be Garbage Man from DC Comics. Now I feel attached to him.
Me too.
I don't think that's what's going to happen.
So there's apparently an official CW Supergirl season 6 synopsis that we missed. But Mark, one of our listeners, sent it to us. So we've linked it in the video description of this live stream. So if you'd like to look at it, we'd love for you to do that. The first 2 paragraphs are basically a recap of what the show is and which characters are involved. But the third paragraph is
this is where it gets good.
This is where it shines. The third paragraph is where the description writer really let loose and like bring some flavor. So we just really wanted to like let you know that. But like if you want to it's
just
kind of
skip to the third paragraph.
It's kind of like when you're watching Parks and Recreations, you skip the first season. It's kind of like that. Just skip to paragraph 3. And you're going to be okay. So paragraph 3 reads, in the 6th and final season, Supergirl will immediately be thrust into the greatest challenge of her life, forced to confront her own mortality and the prospect of losing all hope. Not all hope. All right. I'm in this description. As her friends rally to help her in this difficult fight, a new villain will arrive in National City and test her resolve. While trying to save National City, Supergirl and her friends will confront issues of social justice, as they always do, including prejudice, racism, intolerance, societal ills that Supergirl's alter ego, Kara Danvers, will take on as a journalist. As threats mount on all sides and new villains partner with old villains, the Super Friends find themselves in a race to amass power in their attempts to keep everyone safe. Ultimately, the Super Friends will have to examine their own use of power and confront their own blind spots. Supergirl will learn that her real power comes from within and that her greatest gift is inspiring others with hope speeches to access the same power within themselves. Our Super Friends will learn that the best way for heroes to help the world is by empowering each individual. Only then will they be stronger together. Interesting.
So I like the stronger together mention at the end. That's very early on in season 1. I believe it's episode 2. There is a great emphasis on power. We hadn't covered the synopsis, but we knew about the theme. We knew about the theme of the season being power. Which
their power, your power, everyone's power.
Can power be good or is it always bad? So there's a lot of that, and I'll have to be honest. When I read this and it got to the part about addressing racism and intolerance and all that kind of stuff, I was like, I realize those are important topics. They really are. And
how many episodes does Supergirl have left? They're going to solve intolerance.
Well, and we've also talked about that stuff a lot. Like season 4, that's all it was.
That was a big part of season 4. Yeah,
had a lot of that. So I don't know.
Yes, that's right.
I don't know how much more can you dig into. I mean, I guess
we'll find out.
Well, yeah. So I don't know. That was not necessarily exactly what I was hoping that the synopsis would say, but that's what we're, I guess, going towards.
I hope it means some good things for Kara as a character, because it seems like she is going to be facing some of her issues head on, and she's going to be doing that both as Supergirl and as Kara. Like, it sounds like there's going to be some Kara Danvers
journalist,
investigative reporter. That makes me think she'll show up to work at least once in the last 13 episodes, that she will maybe talk to at least one source, and maybe do a story that gets a Pulitzer and solves intolerance.
That's usually how it goes. In season 4, she, investigated a few things, but then in the end, she won a Pulitzer about a story that ended up not being the case anymore after Lex Luthor was resurrected. Her whole story was about how he died.
Maybe this is how she wins the Pulitzer for the second time.
Yeah, this is the post-crisis.
I'm coming back for you, Pulitzer.
So, I mean, if it focuses more on Kara, I'm into it. So hopefully that's going to be handled well, and we'll get to see a lot of Kara Danvers, journalist. Well, also in our final bit of news, according to comicbook.com, 20 years after it premiered, Smallville is finally coming to Blu-ray for the first time. Ooh. So I'll bring that up so everybody can see it. This is what the Blu-ray box set will look like. To celebrate 20 years of the CW's longest running superhero show, Smallville, the complete series, 20th anniversary edition. Don't let that number drag you down, Morgan, because I'm trying not to.
Wait, I'm sorry, what? Wait, 20 years since it premiered?
It's
2000, gotta be.
2001. 2001.
Okay. I thought it was like 20 years since it ended, and I was like, no. I was just like looking into I had a dark night of the soul. Like,
no, this is
like, how could it be?
This is since it premiered. So to celebrate 20 years of the CW's longest running superhero show, Smallville, the complete series 20th anniversary edition, will soar onto Blu-ray for the first time ever from Warner Brothers Home Entertainment on October 19th, 2021. This set for the ultimate fan features all 218 episodes, along with over 28 hours of bonus features from all 10 seasons, plus an included digital copy that can be redeemed on Movies Anywhere. While it does not appear that there were any new bonus features created for the 20th anniversary collection, the box set will include 2 DVDs of bonus content originally exclusive to the 2011 DVD release of Smallville, the complete series. If you're curious about how much this costs, the set is listed on bestbuy.com for $159.99. So if you have close to $200 and really want to watch all 10 seasons of Smallville, this is for you.
Yes, there are 218 episodes of Smallville, And by the time you get to the end, you're like, yes, that was 218 episodes for sure. Who I felt each one. And I can say that because Rebecca and we watched Smallville in real time. That's why we're having a crisis of mortality, knowing that it came on 20 years ago. I remember talking to Rebecca like, oh my God, can you believe what happened in season 4? Like, oh my God, that was like 15 years ago.
Yeah, so that does make me feel pretty old, and I have mixed feelings on Smallville. You know, there were good moments. I try to cling to the good moments that I remember. One of them is me meeting Morgan Glennon through the Smallville fandom. So that's one of those good things that came out of Smallville. But it's important for Supergirl fans because Laura Vandervoort's Supergirl, her Kara was in season 7, 8, and I believe 10 for an episode. So,
that's right.
She appeared quite a bit. Season 7 is actually better, I think, because Laura Vandervoort is in it, and I really like her Kara. So,
what was your favorite season of Smallville?
Ooh, I know a lot of people point to season.
Topics.
Some hot takes that are coming up. I know a lot of people talk about season 3, and season 3 is great. Really, the odd seasons of Smallville were always better. Man. They were always better. I think season 5. I really enjoyed the season 5 of it all. I mean, Carrie Fisher showed up for an episode. I loved a lot of those episodes in season 5. So I think I'm gonna go season 5.
I think season 5 was mine too. That's so funny. I think that I feel like for me, season 5 is when they finally were like, I think I know what to do. It's been 5 years, but I think I know what to do with Lana. And like that. God, but poor Kristen Kirk. And I think that was like they were like, we've unlocked it. We've done it. And it didn't feel like they were just kind of fishing around for something for this very prominent character to do. And they finally like kind of figured out. And then season 6, they were like, all right, we figured out what to do with Lana. What if we just made her go crazy? And then like that was my favorite Lana season. That was the best Lana season.
That was the best Lana season. Do
you remember when her and Lex make out over a dead body? That was top tier Lana Lang right there.
She and Lex get married. She becomes Lana Luthor. She is threatening people in elevators. She wields guns, and she knocked people over the head with shovels. And it was like my favorite Lana season.
I loved her so much that season. I was like, what is this feeling? Am I loving Lana Lang? Am I living for what she's gonna do next?
when she went crazy, that was the best Lana that appeared on Smallville. It was a good time. But yeah, so mixed feelings on Smallville. But if you're a fan, this is a good thing because Blu-rays are always higher quality. So if you're like, I already got 10 seasons of that show on DVD, but if you really love it, the Blu-ray, it's gonna be the Blu-ray quality is always better. Take it from me. I used to QC DVDs and Blu-rays, and sometimes I would watch the DVDs and then watch the Blu-rays. Totally different experience. So if you like Smallville, you maybe should get the Blu-rays because it will be a better experience.
Mike is always kind of trolling me about my DVD collection because I had like a ton of DVDs. Like back when like DVDs were like, oh my God, this is the only way I can catch up on season blah, blah, blah of, Smallville or whatever. I would get the DVDs. And so I had all of these DVDs and Mike was like, what are you ever going to do with those? I was like, I don't know. So it's good to have your media in a physical form. And he's like, well, I'm never going to watch a DVD. It's like, it's high def or bust. And I was like, excuse me? We've had many arguments about this.
I used to have a 6-disc DVD changer, and I would load it up with all my Smallville DVDs and just be like, all right, let's do this season.
Nice. Oh my God, that's so good. I would have to like take it out of like the packaging. And I think Smallville was one of those ones that had the annoying packaging.
Oh yeah.
You had to flip out and flip out and flip out.
Yeah.
And then there was like one DVD nested on top of the other DVD.
Yes.
So if you were on like the bottom DVD, you would have to take out the top DVD, pull out the bottom DVD, and put the top DVD back on. Listen, I have trauma because the Buffy DVDs and the Angel DVDs were exactly the same. And so every time I was like, I just want to see what happens to Wesley. Like, and I just had to, and it was
inevitably for me, one of the little things that you put the DVD in would break, and so the disc wouldn't go in all the way. So like sometimes it would slip out. Oh yeah.
Then you'd open your DVD and like a disc would just come rolling out, and you're like, no, it's gonna get scratched.
Oh yeah, I do love a physical copy, but that is trouble.
Those are the downsides. Those are the downsides of the physical copies.
Yes, I agree. Well, so there is your Smallville news. For listeners of Supergirl Radio who always tell us, more Smallville talk. There you go.
I don't think anybody wants to open that Pandora's box of like, Rebecca texted me about the Smallville thing. Like, it was like, oh, Smallville. And I was like, how is it that I have still so many complicated feelings about a television show that ended so many years ago, that started 20 years ago?
Well, it's just funny that they would release this now, because didn't Crisis just recently invalidate the entire show? Because the whole point of
the finale of the show invalidated the whole show. I mean, if we're gonna get to it.
But the whole point of that show was for Clark to become Superman, and then in Crisis on Infinite Earths, he's like, "Nah, I'm gonna just be married and have kids. It's gonna be fine."
I forgot about that. I repressed that.
So now you're asking fans to go back and buy a $200 Blu-ray set for a show that's been invalidated twice.
They're like, hey, do you want to watch the story of how Clark Kent becomes Superman? Joke's on you. This is how Clark Kent becomes stay-at-home dad Clark. He's got a farm.
Stay-at-home dad Clark. I would actually watch a show about stay-at-home dad Clark.
Me too. He's going to have all kinds of trials and tribulations.
Didn't he, even in Crisis, didn't he give up his powers? I don't think he even had superpowers anymore.
I don't think he had superpowers anymore, no. I don't think so. I don't remember, but I don't think so.
That feels right.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah. So
Smallville's ultimate way is to invalidate its own reason for existing. That's a very Smallville thing to do.
It's a very Smallville thing to do. Yeah. So that's our Smallville news for this episode of Supergirl Radio. So to get to our main discussion for why we are here, we are going to discuss DC Pride #1's Dreamer story called Date Night, which was written by Nicole Maines, who plays Dreamer on the CW Supergirl. The artist was Rachel Stott, Enrica Aaron Angiolini is the colorist. Steve Wands was the letterer. Diego Lopez was the editor. And there was no description specifically for the Date Night story, but the description of DC Pride #1 describes it as the thrilling introduction of a new hero Dreamer in the DCU as seen on the CW's Supergirl. So, Morgan, what are your thoughts on the story of this issue?
Well, it was really exciting to see Dreamer in the comics. That was, first of all, I was like, yay, Dreamer. And I thought that the art was really good. And I really enjoyed definitely enjoyed the art aspect of the comic. I will say, so I bought the whole issue, clearly. And then I was like, where is it in the issue? Because I want to start with that one. And then I'll read the rest because I needed to do it for this podcast. And the thing is, in the beginning of the issue, they don't tell you page numbers.
Did they not? I had to just flip through.
They did not. I looked many times. I was like, just tell me. And so I ended up reading a whole comic before I got to Date Night. And then I was like, oh, here it is. I only knew because there was a giant splash panel of Dreamer.
Yeah.
And that's how I knew that I was going in the right direction towards the Dreamer story. And I was like, okay, all right, I'm in this now. I'm close.
It's kind of hidden in there if you're not looking, if you're unable to find it through the table of contents, which is weird because normally for these big volumes of things, they will
That's what
put
I
it in there.
That's what I expected. There is a table of contents that tells you all the stories that are going to be in the issue, but they don't come with page numbers unless I have completely missed it. No, there's definitely not. I looked again.
It is page, I believe, 60 in the digital version. So if you are looking to find it and you have trouble, it starts on page 60. And it is kind of misleading because it doesn't have a normal or a typical like cover page that you would normally think of. It just kind of has a little bit of a title there at the bottom. So you have to be looking for it.
So it's like really easy. And I kept thinking that there was going to be like splash art or like art between each individual story, and that's how I would know. But sometimes there isn't. So this one I think went right from the end of the previous comic, if I remember right. Yeah, it's the end of the previous comic and then right into date night. And so I thought that there would be like a big splash page, because there are a couple in the book. There's like one of Constantine and like a couple other ones in the Pride issue, but there wasn't between those two. So I was like, did I make it?
No, I think you got there. Yeah, it had the page before it says the end. So you know that story's complete.
that helps you. That helps.
So you know that one's over. But what did you think about the story in this one of Dreamer taking on the League of not Assassins? That's a different group in DC Comics, the League of Shadows. What were your thoughts?
I thought it was interesting. So I thought that there were a couple of different like layers. So she's kind of out on her own patrolling, and Kara's like, "Don't you have a date tonight?" And she's like, "Don't worry about it. I'm just going to do like one little thing and then I'm going to go on my date." But it turns out that she's like hiding a secret from Kara, which I was surprised about. I was like, I thought like she told Kara stuff, but she was like, "I don't want to worry Kara."
I'm going to be honest, and I don't know if this is a controversial take, but I didn't like the way this issue was. I mean, I liked it. I mean, it's a short story. Like you only have 8 pages to do anything really. But the interaction with Supergirl, I don't know. I kind of wish that Supergirl honestly wasn't even in this, because at the beginning, the way she's interacting with Supergirl, Supergirl's like, "Hey, Dreamer do you need help with anything?" And Dreamer's like, "No, I got it. This is all good, but maybe you can go deal with that bank robbery that I saw in my dream." And I'm like, is Dreamer giving her orders of what to do?
Is Dreamer the boss now?
Yeah, I was like, hang on a second. I don't know that I like the way that this is happening with Supergirl. And then they reference sectors like they were Green Lanterns, and they don't really talk that way on the show, so that was kind of new too. But I wasn't. And then at the end with Supergirl, Brady says something like, "Are you going to tell Supergirl about all this?" And she's like, Car doesn't need to, or doesn't have to know. And I was like, she doesn't have to know. The whole story is about you taking on the League of Shadows, who are like, the national city will fall and somebody's going to send some more things, which I guess is a reference to Talia al Ghul, but somebody's going to send some more things and people to come and make sure national city falls. That seems like something Supergirl maybe should know about. Maybe that's just me. I don't know, but I was not feeling the Supergirl stuff in this.
Yeah, I was interested on your take too, because that threw me off, because I feel like in the show they work really collaboratively, and like I don't feel like Nia really keeps secrets from Kara. And in this comic, it was kind of the idea that maybe she had seen something in her dream that concerned her, and so she didn't want to tell Kara about it because she didn't want to like stress her out, or she didn't want to like scare her or concern her. But she's Supergirl, so it's kind of like she kind of needs to be in the loop on that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I could maybe buy it if she's concerned about Supergirl's well-being or something like that. I would be okay with that. But the way as it is written and sort of played in this issue, I was like, oh, I don't know how I feel about that. That was not my favorite.
Yeah, I wanted like a little bit more background. I felt like this was definitely an issue where I felt like the 8 pages was tough, and like I wish they there were more pages. Basically, I wish it was like a full issue to be able to like explore that, that struggle that she was having about whether or not to tell Kara about what's happening, and like the idea of maybe wanting to protect Kara or maybe being concerned about Kara, and maybe it almost felt like she had seen something that was like maybe Kara would be in danger if she came, but they don't really dive into it, or they don't have time or room to dive into it. And so I was just kind of left with like, Nia seems to be keeping secrets from Kara for question mark reasons.
Yeah. I think that would have been an interesting thing to explore, but to your point, I mean, the 8 page is very limiting in what you can do with the story. What? Okay, I guess maybe this question should be set up. I guess maybe I'm trying to find the best way to say this. Do you think this plot is just basically Batman Begins? Am I the only one that connected those dots with the League of Shadows and then the thing being put into the water system? Because that's exactly what happens in Batman Begins.
It's been a while since I've seen Batman Begins, but I don't think that you're wrong. I think you're right, actually. Was it in the water, too, that they were doing in Batman Begins?
Yes.
Yeah.
Scarecrow was going to put it in the water supply.
But doesn't it end up in the air?
They sort of like spray it around. But the plan was for Scarecrow to put it in the water supply.
Yeah, you're right.
Because the League of Shadows is also heavily featured in Batman Begins.
It's also involved. Yeah. Yes, I think that you're correct.
Yeah. So that was one of those things that I was like, oh, okay. I mean, I guess I was hoping for something a little more original. But then I don't know. It felt a little too Batman Begins-ish to me.
Yeah, we have a silhouetted animator in the chat who says that's straight out of the Batman Contagion storyline from the comics, and Gotham and Arrow adapted that storyline too. So apparently, this is a very popular Batman-esque storyline. So yeah, kind of referencing it, I guess. But I feel like for Dreamer's comic debut, I would have preferred maybe even like I liked the action definitely, but like with 8 pages, I would have preferred a little bit more character stuff, and then maybe like some light hitting of things. Yeah.
She does do a lot of action. It was hard at first for me to buy that Dreamer could take on the League of Shadows because, I mean, Batman had to train for many years, I guess, or at least a couple of months. I mean, at the very least, to train with the League of Shadows. And I believe Sarah Lance, was she with the League of Assassins or the League of Shadows? They're kind of used almost interchangeably, but I think
she was
with
some sort of league.
Yeah,
definitely. She got some sort of like BJ's Costco card to a league.
Yeah, so you would think that those people would be pretty formidable in fighting, but then by the end of the comic, I sort of bought it a little more because Dreamer uses her Dreamer energy into weapons. She talks about that in the description of Dreamer, that she can transform that into weapons, and she has swords and stuff. And so that was actually pretty cool. Dream energy swords. But it was hard for me at first to be like, should Dreamer be able to like punch these guys? just by her fist.
That also threw me off. And so there's a couple panels on, let's see, I think it starts around page, it's a really cool full page panel on page 62 where you see, and I think it's the background of this live stream, where you see Dreamer's kind of up in the air, and you see all her hands are like hitting people and avoiding things and ducking and doing, all kinds of fighting maneuvers. And presumably she's like taking on the League of Shadows. You see her in the next panel in 63, like jumping over people and fighting people and going like, hey, yeah. And the thing is that Dreamer, we know that Dreamer's powers are mysterious, and in some ways unknowable. But I feel like what I know Dreamer about is like puns, definitely.
Yeah, puns. Those were featured in this issue.
Loved that. Loved
They
that
were
energy. They were great. But I feel like I know her for her weird nebulous powers, but not specifically for like fighting, like hand-to-hand fighting skills. And so that threw me off quite a bit.
So I did have a question for you about page 62. The question is, what is happening?
I don't know.
What I think maybe is happening is that do you think she's seeing the fighting with them
Oh my God.
like before she does it? Is she like having some sort of precognition of like, I'm going to have to punch this guy here and I'm going to have to do this here. And then she does it?
I think you're right. Okay. So my first read on that panel was, why are there so many hands? That was the first read. Then when I started to go deeper into the source material, I was like, are her hands currently fighting? Are they currently waging a war?
Yes.
And that's kind of where I ended up. But now if I go a layer deeper, I can see that, like, yeah, she's probably closing her eyes, taking a quick little snooze, so that she can see how everybody attacks her, so that she can then use her dream powers to like fight them, which is a cool use of her powers.
I actually really do like that.
I wish this panel did the work of telling me that's what was happening, because I didn't know. I was like, I guess she's fighting somebody in this panel, but we just can't see them and they're just hands.
Yeah. I guess I'm sort of the opinion that I like trying to figure it out. So I guess I wouldn't want somebody to tell me exactly what's happening. I kind of like the open-endedness of what is happening here and having to figure it out. But it sort of seems like maybe that's what's happening. And if that is the case, where she's like having some precognition and she's seeing herself do it before she does it, I think that's pretty cool. That's probably my favorite part of the issue.
And it does explain to me how she can like Sarah Lance it through that crowd of assassins,
right?
And like hold her own. Because I was side-eye. I was like, listen, I love Dreamer too. I don't know about this one. But it does kind of explain it to me. Like, if she has foreseen everybody's attacks, then she can then defend herself and attack back in a way where she could take down a lot of the League of Assassins easily.
And she would sort of take them off guard. Like they would.
Exactly.
No.
Yeah. And it seemed like she was using her dream power really effectively in this issue, to be like, she knew where they were going to be and she knew that what was going on. And when they threatened her, there seemed to be like a knowing that she kind of knew things were going to happen when they were going to happen. So I do think that there was the idea in this issue that like when her powers at their full development would allow her to like know things ahead of time.
Yeah, and Silhouetted Animator said, Nicole Main said in an interview with CBR, which I think is Comic Book Resources, that this is her at the point where she has full control of her powers. So that would make sense, because she doesn't seem to have any trouble with it like she does sometimes on the show. She was able to do everything very effectively. So did you have any other thoughts about the characterization of Dreamer or even Brainy? We see Brainy a little bit here in this issue.
So I see, I just wanted to read off this comment from Julia, which is a good one. She said, I think they've established on the show that she can use her dream power to predict moves to a degree. I think she was training with Brainy in season 4. So this is like a established power that she has. So it does make sense that that's kind of something that she tapped into. As always, with a Dreamer story, I find myself questioning, what can and can't she do?
I think she did a little bit of that with Agent Liberty in season 4. I think that's maybe what Julia's thinking about. There was a little bit of that, if I remember that correctly. So that's a good point. So what did you think about the inclusion of Brainy in this?
I liked having Brainy there to kind of play off of her and kind of allow her to talk to somebody while she's like doing all this like kicking butt and taking names and stuff like that. And I think it allowed her to, I liked the characterization of Dreamer in this issue, just because I liked that she was like fun and she was sassy and she was kind of enjoying herself as she was, as she was fighting all of these like League members. And I thought that Brainy really kind of added to that by like being able to like call her in while he's like getting ready for the date, and and not being too concerned about whether she can take like a whole bunch of like League of Assassin members. Like she's fighting, but she's also kind of like on a Bluetooth conversation about like what they're gonna if they're gonna get Italian that night, which I liked.
Yeah, there was a good bit of comedy, I thought, in this, and I think that worked for the Dreamer character. And for Brainy, I thought Brainy was pretty character correct here. And I like in the description that they have of Brainiac 5, it says Coral Docs, Kaluan, 12th level, super intelligence, cute face. So I thought that was good. I could almost I don't know, that seemed very Nicole Maines to me to put that in there. So I'm glad to kind of hear her voice in there. So I thought his characterization was good.
I think a lot of the jokes really landed to me, and I think it's because this issue was written by Nicole Maines, and she loves Dreamer, and she really understands Dreamer, and you know, some of that voice is her own. So I thought that like bringing that to the character on the page really worked for me. Like I could hear Dreamer saying all of the things she was saying, all of the dream puns, and and all the like the back and forth banter with Brainy about like going out to dinner and things like that. I loved the ending, which is that she fights the main guy from the League of Shadows or Assassins.
Shadows, yeah.
And then she knocks him unconscious, and then she's like, okay, well, I got to go to my date. But she still wanted to question him about something. So she didn't want to leave him for the police. So instead, she takes the unconscious League of Shadows, like main guy, with her to the movies, where he sits unconscious next to them while they like cuddle and eat popcorn.
And she's handcuffed to him, so he's not going anywhere. And he has a Sleeping Beauty written on the top of his head.
So another good dream pun.
So ends it with a good dream pun. Yeah, I like that page. It ends on a good note because it does get you from point A to point B. Like they set it up at the beginning. Dreamer's going on a date with Brainy. She's got to go through this whole League of Shadows thing first, and then they get there. So I think for 8 pages, it almost seems like it would be so hard to do just in 8 pages to tell a complete story in such a short amount of time. So I think for the most part, the story got where it needed to go. So I think that it was successful in that way, that it told the story and it ended kind of on a happy note, a happy, fun note. So I think it was an enjoyable read for that, even though I'm like, oh, the Batman Begins thing is a little too close for my comfort. But I think it did, it accomplished, I think, what it set out to do.
It makes me wonder if Nicole had read some of the Batman stuff that it was pulling from, like some of the original source material, and was just kind of looking for a thing that the League of Shadows does a lot, and was like, this is kind of their jam.
That is their thing.
Kind of what they're into.
That is their thing. And I was glad that Nicole was able to work some things in that the show might not be doing, like the mention of her sister, like the mention of Maeve. And Bran asks, what do you think the deal is with Nia's sister? Is she kidnapped or now a member of the League? I like that it was ambiguous. The League of Shadows guy seemed to know her sister. And he knew everything about her, actually.
He dropped a mention to her sister, and I really liked that. Like, again, we it's been a long time since we've revisited Nia's like home life and situation, but it was nice to get like a mention of her family and her sister, and she really gets thrown off by that he's mentioning her sister. So yeah, it made me want to know more about like the world of this like 8-page comic. Basically, it like really drew me in.
Yeah, so I was glad that she was able to get to that aspect of the Dreamer character that has not been fully explored on the show. Hopefully, maybe, I don't know if we'll get Maeve, if we get Nia's sister on the show in season 6, or Nia's mother. Since we're getting Nia's mother on the show in season 6, I wonder if we'll get Maeve again. But it always sounded like it was up to the actress's schedule, whether or not they could get her or not. So at least they could get her a mention in this one, in this 8-page story. So did you have any other like favorite panels or pages? I know we both liked I think page 62, which I thought was probably like the coolest page in my opinion. But did you have any other favorite bits of art that you liked?
Yeah, I think honestly 62 was like went through after I read after I found and read the Dreamer story. I went through and I read the rest of the Pride issue, and I liked it. I liked a lot of the stories in it. I have to say, I think that one, the page 62, was like maybe one of my favorite panels in the whole issue, like the whole 80-page issue. So bravo to that to them, because I thought it was one of the coolest pages that they had in this issue, with all the hands and things like that. But also I really liked the end issue, the end page. So she shows up at the movie theater, and her and Brainy kiss, and it's like kind of like a sparkly background, and then and then you like pan down to them in the theater with the unconscious handcuffed villain, and I thought that was just such a funny like sight gag that worked so well for that character.
Yeah, I think it does give the story a good ending. For me, I think the only other thing that I would mention, I like the close-ups of eyes in this issue. I think there's a couple of
Ooh.
instances of it. There's one on page 62, and then there's another one on
When he mentions her
page
sister.
64. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the cinematic use of the close-ups there, because it really brings the intensity into those moments. So I really like that. And even the way that Dreamer's hair is falling over the mask, I thought was really good. And also on that page 64, there's also let me get these, a whoosh when she draws the,
Yes,
I guess the dream energy. Is it just one sword, or does she have two?
I think she's got two.
She might have two. So I like that. That's pretty cool. I like all the blue lights there, and the sort of sparkly light that's coming off the dream energy sword. So I think that would probably be my other favorite moment in the issue. So I guess overall thoughts. What did you think about Dreamer's first appearance in comics?
I was excited to see her in comics. I enjoyed the issue thoroughly. I liked seeing her in action. I liked seeing her her ability in this issue to use all of her powers so well, and like she seemed like she really knew how, like, what power was like the right time to use for what thing. And I like to see like a powerful Dreamer who's kind of in control of her crime fighting. I didn't love the stuff with Supergirl, but like I thought that was, it was underdeveloped to the point where it could have been left out, I think, because it made you ask too many questions about like, well, why isn't she telling her this? And why is she like making her go across town on some wild goose chase when she's like, taking on the League of Shadows? That doesn't make a lot of sense. Supergirl would probably be like, even if it was just like, she's like, it's my time to shine, something like that would sit better with me than like her going like, no, go over there. It's fine. I'm not gonna tell her about it either. I'm not gonna tell her. She's fine. I thought that was kind of the only thing about this issue that really kind of threw me off. Like, I was a little thrown off by her, her fighting abilities. But now that you mentioned,
I think we worked through those.
That panel, like, really, like, that got me there on the fighting. I'm like, cool, that's a really awesome use of her powers. But the Supergirl stuff was the only thing that threw me off. Otherwise, I really liked this issue. I liked her banter and like the humor that they brought into the issue, and just kind of a day in the life of Dreamer. And it makes me think that they could very easily give this character some more time in a comic book, and maybe her own book, and that I would want to read it.
Yeah, there's definitely stories that you could tell with Dreamer. I mean, I would love to see more with her and her sister Maeve, and the dynamic of how that works out. So, I mean, there's a lot you could do with that. I don't know if they'll expand that, but I think this was a good first appearance for Dreamer, in the sense that I think if you had never heard of Dreamer, if you didn't see Dreamer on the show, it kind of at least gives you a good introduction of who Dreamer is, what at least somewhat about what the powers are that she is able to do and how she is able to use them. So I think it gives at least a non-Supergirl fan a good introduction to who Dreamer is, who her established relationships are, where she's located. All those details are there, that she has a sister, that kind of thing. So I was kind of bothered by the Supergirl stuff too, and I was a little kind of. I know I keep mentioning the Batman Begins thing, but I just couldn't. I couldn't believe it, because I tried to look up I tried to look up other reviews to see if other people were connecting this to Batman Begins, and I couldn't find anything. And I was like, am I the only one who's noticing that this is the plot of Batman Begins? But other
They're
than
just really into that. That's just their thing.
but I did like the being able to see Dreamer really in control of her powers, and I thought the art was really good, and the characterization of Brainy I thought was really good. So I think for Nicole's first comic, that's awesome. I think she did a good job, and I'm glad that when we talked with her, it was apparent that she loved comics, and she loved the character of Neuronal, and loved Dreamer that she gets to portray on the show. And so I'm happy for Nicole that she actually got to tell a story, because I think there's a lot of stories that she has up in her head, up in her brain, for what she could do with the character. And so I'm glad that she was afforded that opportunity to do that.
Well, I think you can tell that she really truly enjoys comics, because I think that the pacing of the story was just really good. The way that everything kind of flowed together, and the use of like the puns and the fight sequences and everything like that. Like I thought it was really great. I would love to read more comic stuff from Nicole if she ever wants to do that.
It was actually to that point, it was very readable. It was an easy read. It was a good read, able to, for somebody like me who's like, just read that one book, Rebecca, just read it. It was easy. It was easy for me to read. And I can't say that about every comic that I pick up. So I think that's a good indication that, you're in it and you're having a good time, is when it's easy to read through. So I will say that as well, that it did have a good flow to it. And it did feel like I hate to say this, sometimes comic books kind of, at least for me, I'm like begrudgingly having to get into it. But this one was like pulling me in, and I was able to get through it. So I think that's it's a good first attempt. So the congrats to Nicole Maines for being able to, put pen to paper, or keyboard feet, fingers to keyboards, to getting that accomplished. So
and I think
awesome.
It was a good introduction to Dreamer I would assume a lot of people who picked up the DC Pride issue didn't necessarily watch Supergirl, maybe didn't even know who Dreamer was. And I think it's a really strong introduction to the character, which is like another tightrope that Nicole was walking when she was writing this issue, is like a lot of people aren't going to know who Dreamer is, or what she's about, or what she can do. And so in a way, it's a great introduction to the character. Like, here she is, she knows Supergirl, not that well though. And she's gonna, this is the different things that she can do with her powers, and she's dating Brainy, and she's funny, and like, it was a great introduction to the Dreamer character, and I think would make people who even haven't watched Supergirl want to know more about her.
And I will also say that, sometimes I get upset with the show for like being too obvious about what they're doing, when they're like, hey, we're going to do a story about hate and bigotry, and we're just going to really tell you everything that we're doing.
It's about the seas.
But with this, Nicole was able to bring the transgender aspects of Dreamer into the issue without having to be like overt about it. Because sometimes I'm like, you don't have to tell me everything story. You don't have to just lay it all out for me. Just give me some subtext, let me figure it out. And that's what I liked about the way the art was handled in this issue, and the establishment of kind of what Dreamer's goal for, protecting people is at the end, protecting people's freedoms and things like that. So I think it did a good job of connecting the transgender aspect of the character, but not being so like I'm gonna hold your hand through this and tell you everything. And so that's my preferred way of reading a story or watching a story. Is
not like looking right into the camera and telling you the
Yes.
hope.
Yes.
This was a lot more, it got to the point where it wanted to tell you, why these things were important to Nia and why they're like what they're important to her for. And bringing it around to sort of the pride aspect of the characters and, the fact that she's a trans superhero. But you're right. Yeah, it was, there was like the freedom to love is all that she sort of talks about, and I thought that was really good too. Like it was a very full introduction to the character.
Yeah. So I think if you read this, you'll get to know Dreamer and hopefully want to know more about Dreamer to get you to the show or hopefully get you to more Dreamer comics. So I thought this was a good first appearance for Dreamer. And so it's cool that we have the opportunity to talk about that because I know on Supergirl Radio, we talk about first appearances quite a bit. So this was Dreamer's first appearance in the comics.
Now we'll know what Dreamer's first appearance is. Oh, we talked about that when it happened.
We read that story. We've already got it. So that's cool. Well, thank you for reading that story with me. And I think we figured some things out that I think we were both struggling with before we got into the discussion.
This is one of those cases where like discussing it actually makes me like it more than I mean, I liked it when I read it, but I did have some questions. And then talking to you, I was like, I figured out some stuff. So, book clubs are fun, basically.
It's fun. Other people's experiences and interpretations can elevate and add value to yours. So thank you for sharing your opinions, Morgan. That has elevated my experience with the comics. So
thank you.
All right. Shall we get to a snap judgment that we have?
Sure.
All right, so let's get into the intro and we'll be right back. In the game of Snap Judgments, each person is presented with 2 options, but must only choose one. First instincts are recommended and explanations are unnecessary.
All right. Well, we have quite a long Snap Judgment. For this time,
and it's a little personal. I hope that's
it's a little personal
for you.
We're getting right in there. It's my wedding is coming up, so thanks for that. For reminding me. This one's from Mark. He asks, which would Morgan prefer to happen at her wedding? Option 1, it turns out that your correspondent Anna is actually a pseudonym used by Mike's best man, and all is revealed at the wedding reception when his best man toast starts by comparing Morgan and Mike to Kara and Lena, wanders through a meadow of unbearable longing, and then veers sharply into war, famine, pestilence, and death.
That sounds like Anna.
Or this is an Anna level length a snap judgment. I will give him that. Or option number 2. Morgan's wedding ceremony is suddenly interrupted when Oliver and Felicity stroll up to the altar, fully expecting that they will be allowed to renew their own vows as part of the proceedings, despite the fact that it's not their wedding. No one invited them. They're actually fictional characters, and per canon, those fictional characters are, in fact, dead. So
that's a little bit of a wink there towards Oliver and Felicity busting into Barry and Iris's wedding. So Morgan, I guess you can make the snap judgment based on your side of that situation.
Sure,
and I'll base my snap judgment probably on what I would rather see happen.
What you'd rather be part of. Yeah, exactly. So this is a tough one. This was a tough one because I don't want the best man speech to really bum everyone out. I think that's
a real
important.
Downer.
I don't think that however, Pestilence was my favorite.
She's the best. Grace was the best.
Does Grace pop up at the end? Is she like, hey, it's me? Okay. But on the other hand, Oliver and Felicity are there. They want to hang out. They want to do a joint thing. They want to overshadow me, definitely. That's tough too, because I don't want them there. I don't want them there. I don't want their nonsense. I don't want their nonsense in my wedding. They're gonna suck all the oxygen out of that room. All of the oxygen is gone. I don't know. I guess it depends. Okay, so Oliver and Felicity show up.
Yeah.
Are they splitting it with us? Are they split? Are we going halvesies now? He has a lot of money.
They're paying for it.
They have to pay for it if they're gonna hijack the wedding to renew their vows. They now have to pay for my whole wedding, and so I'm going Oliver and Felicity. I'll let them come. I'll let them do their thing. Oh, we're so quirky. Okay, get out of the way. You pay. You go pay the vendors. Pay the vendors. Let's move on with the wedding.
You would hope that they would pay for half of it.
They wouldn't, though.
I think they would come in, interrupt the wedding, and then do their thing, and then they would just leave, and everybody would be like, what just happened?
They'd be like, you're welcome. You're welcome.
You would have to track them down, just run after them and tackle them to make sure that they give you some money out of Oliver's wallet. I think that's fair. For me personally, as a person seeing all this unfold, I think I would rather see Oliver and Felicity interrupting the wedding. I personally would love to see the chaos surrounding that. I would also have to fight the temptation to yell at them to get out. That would be.
I mean, Rebecca, think about this.
I might cause a scene.
You could stand up dramatically and you could scream, "Get out of here!" You get, and then it's like a soap opera. It becomes like a soap opera scene where maybe there's like a tussle and somebody falls into a fountain that suddenly appears. It's kind of perfect.
Or somebody could maybe Oliver rides in on his motorcycle. Yes. And he has his green arrow.
Yes, he just goes straight down, but instead of interrupting the wedding, he's just like, "Hey, can we just hop in here for a second?" No, Oliver, no one wants you anywhere.
No one wants you here. Yeah, I think that would have the most chaotic atmosphere. So I think I would be into that. Let's hope none of those situations happen for you. Just a snap judgment, just for fun. So we're gonna leave all of this here at the snap judgment and hope that neither of those options happen in real life. All right, we're gonna do our outro and then we'll be right back. No judgments on your snap judgments. All right, well, that's going to do it for our thoughts on DC Pride #1's date night featuring Dreamer. If you've already picked up this issue, make sure to give it a rating in Comixology or your DC Comics app. And if you haven't bought it yet, DC Pride #1 is available in the DC Comics app, the Comixology app, as well as Comixology.com, Google Play, the Nook Store, Amazon, and at Read DC Entertainment. And I guess we should also get to some plugs while we are here, and I need to make sure that I get the right plugs for this episode. So we're going to get to some DC TV plugs, DC TV podcast plugs, and some Supergirl Radio plugs too. We've got some of those in there. So we'll get to some plugs and we'll be right back. If you'd like to contact Supergirl Radio, you can post a comment on our website at supergirlradio.com. You can email us at supergirlradio@gmail.com. If you'd like to leave us a voicemail, you can call us at 678-718-7252. You can like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram, all at Supergirl Radio. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, Podchaser, and Spotify, where we also have a Spotify playlist that includes music featured on and inspired by the CW's Supergirl TV series. We are listed on DC's fan page, which you can find at dccomics.com/DC-fans. If you like what we do, we encourage you to give us a rating and write us a review on Apple Podcasts. If you enjoy our Supergirl Radio live streams, make sure to subscribe to the DC TV Podcast YouTube channel and hit that notification bell to get notified when we go live and wired. DC TV Podcast also has a TeePublic store, so if you're in need of new DC TV related t-shirts, tank tops, sweatshirts, onesies, mugs, notebooks, pillows, or stickers, go to supergirlradio.com and click on the TeePublic store link at the top of the page.
Supergirl Radio, Superman and Lois Radio, The Flash Podcast, and Legends of Tomorrow Podcast, Black Lightning Podcast, Batwoman Podcast 2, and Titans and Doom Patrol Podcast just for you, Justice League Dark Podcast, Green Lantern adventures. Podcast and finally my favorite of the bunch, DCTV After Dark, where you're allowed to say fuck.
You can't say that on DCTV After
It's encouraged.
Dark. Well, since we talked about the T Public Store, we do have some Dreamer designs in the DCTV podcast T Public Store. So if you're interested in those and you want some new stuff, go check it out and see what you can find. So there's some Dreamer stuff in there if you so desire. And we would also like to thank our legion of super sponsors, Michael, Sam, Anne Marie, Grout, Yvonne, Quinn, Jessica, Nicola, Leslie, Susan, Abby, Ermgard, Miriam, Shree, Donna, Nicole, Lizeth, Deb. So thank you for that. I think I need to update that graphic now that I'm looking at it. So thank you to everybody who supports the Supergirl Radio Patreon. If you would like to do that, you can visit patreon.com/Supergirl Radio and choose one of the monthly memberships. And we thank you in advance for doing that. And I guess I have myself reading all this stuff, but
I can take Flat Supergirl.
But I think Morgan should do the Flat Supergirl plug because you're so good at that. So
thank you. As a reminder, now and apparently for always ever, we are running a Flat Supergirl contest. And you might be asking, what does that mean? Well, it means that you download and print the Flat Supergirl image, which you can find in the video description of this live stream, in the notes of the audio podcast or right side of supergirlradio.com. Then you cut out Flat Supergirl. And from there, it's really like the world is really your oyster. You and Flat Supergirl are going to go on an adventure. But the important thing is that you bring your camera, right, Beaker? You have to bring your camera to capture these images of Flat Supergirl. Beaker is so excited. He loves Flat Supergirl. He loves the concept. He loves showing his butt to all of the listeners. And then goodbye. That was his appearance for the episode, and he's gone now. Just enough to distract me from Flat Supergirl, and we're back. So you're gonna take Flat Supergirl. Nothing just happened. You're gonna take Flat Supergirl and just take her on adventures with you. And you want to take a creative picture of her. It can be a selfie. It doesn't have to be. And post that picture, as many as you'd like, to Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, and tag @Supergirl Radio. Use the hashtag Supergirl Adventures. And how long do you have to do this? Infinity, maybe, until the end of the show, whenever that is. November, maybe? Yeah, we're hoping, I think, for November. I think that's maybe when the show is going to end, but we don't have exact dates for it yet. So here's the things that you can take Flat Supergirl on. Your summer vacation. It's Labor Day. So that's exciting. You can take her to your Labor Day party. Snap, Labor Day party. Halloween. Dress up Flat Supergirl in a different tiny paper outfit. Maybe like a little tiny paper witch's hat. You can put that on Flat Supergirl. Take her trick-or-treating. Maybe she wants to go. Your neighbors are going to think you're weird. It's okay. You can be weird. Flat Supergirl understands you. And you've got like a lot of time and time to really take Flat Supergirl all over the place, because it's going to be maybe a couple of months before the end of Supergirl. So you can really get those contest entries in there. And really get creative, because the best picture is we're going to give a prize to the person who has the most creative picture. So really try to think of some cool stuff. I will be doing some flat Supergirl stuff. Hopefully in Metropolis, Illinois this weekend. Ooh. I'll be there on Saturday. So if anybody is in Metropolis for Superman Celebration, give me a holler at Supergirl Radio. I just blanked on our email address. supergirlradio@gmail.com. If you are going to be at Superman Celebration, maybe we'll have a little Supergirl Radio meetup. I think Dr. Nicole Green is going to be there. I don't know if that's still the case, but if Dr. Nicole Green will be there,
I'm gonna get her to do some Supergirl Radio shenanigans. So we'll have some things for the next live stream to present. So Flat Supergirl will be coming with me to Superman Celebration. If you would like to keep up with me online, you can follow me on Instagram at the Derby Kid. I also have a YouTube channel, a personal one that's in addition to this, youtube.com/duckmilkprod. I've been analyzing some Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice review. So if you're into that, which I know is a very specific kind of person who would probably enjoy that. But if you want to share your thoughts on Sundays at 4 p.m. Eastern is usually when I do it. I've gone ahead and scheduled some things for August because I'm going to be in and out of town. So I'm not going to be able to do every week in August, but you can just check my YouTube channel to see when those dates are. And also, another place I'm probably going to take Flat Supergirl is Atlanta Comic Con, which is happening at the beginning of August. So I have some, let's see if I can do this. I've got overlays while I'm saying some things. So if you're going to be attending Atlanta Comic Con on August 7th and 8th, those are the 2 days I will be there. I'm actually going to be doing 5 panels. They roped me into doing 5.
Whoa, 5 panels.
I was initially going to do 3, and they were like, hey, can you do a few more? We got some spots to fill. And I was like, I'll give you 2 more. That's it. So on Saturday, August 7th at 10:30 a.m., I will be doing a panel on Zack Snyder's Justice League. So you can hang out with me there if you want to do that. I can't remember what the next one is. Is it, let's see, this is the podcasting one is next. So I'll also be doing a podcasting panel. I'm calling it Fan Podcasting Tips and Tricks. That will be Saturday, August 7th at 1:00 p.m., where we'll talk about things related to podcasting, probably some live streaming things that we might talk about there. I also thought I would do a hashtag Restore the Snyderverse pitch meeting, which Supergirl Radio listeners should be familiar with the pitch meeting concept. This would be Saturday, August 7th at 6:00 p.m., where, I'm going to just open up the floor to people to tell me, if you could continue the Snyderverse on HBO Max, what would you want to do? How would you do it? What movies or TV shows would you want to do? And I'm going to play the role of the HBO Max executive who greenlights or rejects the idea. And the best idea is going to get a Zack Snyder's Justice League prize from me. Ooh, so that'll be a lot of
fun.
That will be a lot of fun. Hopefully people will be game and play along and have a good time with that. I thought that'd be easy and I wouldn't really have to prepare much for it. But it also sounds like a lot of fun. Also on Saturday, August 7th at 7:30 p.m., I'm going to be doing an Army of the Dead panel. So if you want to come talk about zombies and Zack Snyder zombies specifically, you can do that then. And I think that ends on Sunday. For Supergirl fans specifically, I'm going to be doing a panel on Sunday, August 8th, which just happens to be my birthday. So
happy birthday to you.
I'll be talking about Supergirl on my birthday, which I thought was pretty fitting.
That feels right.
If I could do anything on my birthday, that's a good thing to do. So we'll be talking about Supergirl season 6, the final season, and speculations, thoughts about what we might see when the show comes back. Maybe we'll talk about our good friend Garbage Man. So we'll try to bring him up. But so,
I hope there's a lot of Garbage Man content in there.
So if you are going to be in the Atlanta area August 7th and 8th, come see me at Atlanta Comic Con because I'll be doing a lot of things. So there'll be plenty of chances to meet up with me if you're interested.
That is exciting. They've got you all over that schedule, huh?
It's a lot. The reason I like doing Atlanta Comic Con is if you do a panel, you get to go for free. So
oh my gosh.
How
many years are you going to get to go for free now?
I'm working the system. But this is also Atlanta Comic Con's my kind of way of sticking in people's faces. Cause usually when I go to things like Dragon Con, people are always like, oh, Zack Snyder movies. Blah, blah. And so Atlanta Comic Con, I'm like, I'm going to do all the Zack Snyder panels. Y'all are just going to deal with it. We're going to talk about those films. And so that's my pledge to myself. Every time I go to Atlanta Comic Con is I'm going to do a Zack Snyder panel. So this year I've been afforded plenty of opportunities to do that. So there's a lot of Zack Snyder representation at Atlanta Comic Con.
We have a question from the chat. They want to know if the listeners of Supergirl Radio will get to hear Sunday's Supergirl Season 6 panel.
That's a great question, Claudia. And the answer is probably yes. If all my recordings go to plan, I'll probably have a backup to my backup to my backup. And yeah, so that's the plan, is to release that panel as a Supergirl Radio episode. So yeah, you'll be able to listen to it.
That's exciting because obviously I can't be in Atlanta, but I can be on my podcast app.
Yeah, that's right. So you'll be with me on all those things, and I'm going to record all these panels. So I'll probably put the other ones, the Zack Snyder portions, on my personal YouTube channel. So if you want to see those as well, you can just hop over there and subscribe.
Awesome. You can find me on the usual places, Twitter and Instagram at Mojotastic, as a co-host on DC TV After Dark. And as a co-host on the Legends of Tomorrow podcast, which we got a random hiatus for Legends of Tomorrow that we was weirdly well timed because Amy is on vacation right now. So we're like, cool. So we will be back when the show is back. Unless we do find time to do a Patreon exclusive. But yeah, so we will be talking about the later half of this season of Legends of Tomorrow. Then apparently we'll get a very tiny hiatus and then back to Legends of Tomorrow because of the way that COVID affected that shooting schedule, is that they're already back shooting season 7, which is somehow going to premiere in October, Rebecca.
What?
Season 6 is going to end sometime in September, and then season 7, I think, is supposed to premiere sometime in October, unless I'm wrong, which is my nightmare. So that's fun.
That is wild.
We went from never having anything to talk about with the show and just doing our own random episodes to all show all the time. 12 months a year, it's show.
That is wild. Well, you're going to have lots of podcasting to do. That's
we're
good.
going to learn so many history facts about Amelia Earhart and Bonnie and Clyde, and I think it's going to be great.
I appreciated just a couple of episodes ago, y'all talked about soap operas and how soap operas are shot. And
I was like, I wish Rebecca was here to really adequately school us on soap operas. I was like, I don't know that much about soap opera shooting.
I would love to talk about soap operas. So if you ever need someone to, I don't think you'll ever need that really, but if you
never
do,
know with that show, you never know.
I'm actually just as a side note at Superman Celebration. I am blanking on the actress's name. Why can I not? She played Lana Lang on Superboy. But more importantly, she played Patty Williams on The Young and the Restless. Ooh. And I am so excited. I'm probably going to freak out to see Patty Williams from The Young and the Restless. That's going to be my first soap actor to encounter. And so I'm very excited. I mean, Nicole Tom, who voiced Supergirl, is going to be there. And that's really the more important thing. But Patty Williams from The Young and the Restless is very exciting to me. So sign it. Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Claudia. Stacey Haddock. That's who it is. I knew it in my mind somewhere, in my mind grapes, but I could not pull it out. So I'm glad to have that corrected. Thank you very much, Claudia. All right. Well, we covered a lot. We initially were just going to talk about.
We were like, this will be a short one.
So we had a lot of ground to cover. So thanks to everybody who was hanging out with us tonight for the live stream and getting back into some of these longer live streams than we sometimes tend to do. So thanks for everybody's input on the Dreamer comic and just hanging out. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode of Supergirl Radio. But until next time, I'm still Rebecca Johnson.
And I'm still Morgan Glennon. And remember, when doom approaches, Dreamer will meet it halfway.
I think the CW are just trying to win the time slot war with Supergirl Radio.
Supergirl Radio is going live every night of the week. How do you like it? Is becoming a human burrito a plus or a minus? I don't know. It does seem snug.
I mean, they say you are what you eat.
Oh no.
So I do a podcast called Supergirl Radio, and one of our segments is Lena Luthor, Boardroom or Ballroom, because
she looks like a boss in this coat.
Nasty Luther like a different Luther? It's not just Lena being mean?
No.
Helen Slater here. It's so fun to know that you're hosting a podcast called Supergirl Radio.